I'm dating you, I'm dating you, I'm dating you, I'm dating you. May the best guy win. You're going to lose your femininity. It's going to be chopped off like Kunta Kinte foot. And next thing you know, you have grown a 6-inch penis. The man is supposed to lead with head, thought, action, doer, planner. I should not, as a woman, be making plans and thoughts. My opinion, you don't have to agree. The toxic masculinity. What about me? What did I say? What did I give that made me attract toxic masculinity?
All I'm gonna say is coming.
Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Melanie P podcast. I'm your girl, Melanie P, and we're here to have a conversation, y'all. Listen, one person that I truly love down boots that I would actually thoroughly love to meet is Anwar White. Anwar White is a dating coach, and I love him. I love his information. I love how he uses data and analytics and statistics to educate and help women on finding or being in a place to be found when you're dating. I love his conversation. And I think one thing that you'll see, he was recently on Off the Record podcast, and it's such a good podcast. It wasn't long and long-winded. It was an amazing podcast episode that I think every woman needs to watch. I love how he talks. I love his delivery. And I'm going to say something really interesting. Well, everything I say is interesting, but something that I picked up on in his engagement and his dialogue that's very different from some of these female dating coaches. I want to see if you guys pick up on it, and then we will discuss it towards the middle of the show. And it hit me like, wow, he's given a little bit more feminine energy in his delivery than some of these women dating coaches who come off with aggression. And I think that is truly why a lot of these men do not be like listening to what these women have to say, and even some of these women, because sometimes they can be very aggressive in their conversation and kind of harsh and very masculine in talking about being feminine. So sometimes it kind of bumps heads, but I really wanted to look at this episode with you guys and kind of call out some of my favorite points for discussion purposes. So Anwar White, let's find out exactly who Anwar White is.
A mess.
We love it.
I'm a hot mess. No, so to your point, I think about dating and relationships from a qualitative and quantitative perspective. I think it's really important. I'm not someone who's like, which I think, respectfully speaking, a lot of people out there are. And so I think it's important for people to feel very informed about what's the real deal when it comes to dating. I mean, I work with 300 women at a time. So I'm on the ground floor. I'm working with 300, 400 women at a time. And so I understand exactly what it really looks like. And because I have and work with so many people, I have my own data set. I was an undergrad statistics major. And I got my MBA as well. So I think I look at things and I want to make sure, especially when it comes to Black and brown women who I work with primarily, that they have the facts, that they know exactly like what it looks like for them and what their journey will look like, just based on like, okay, you got to know that like your match rate is going to be 44% versus a white girl's who's 55%. You got to know that your
So I like him already off the gate because he's not just, let me give you my opinion that's not based on any facts. Let me just give you my thoughts that's not based on any kind of history that I have in the dating space or with women. That is why I like him, because he isn't just talking to be talking. He's actually going off of data, numbers, and real numbers, not made up numbers, to help women who are dating position themselves in the best position to find love. Now, I want to jump over to the first point.
But to answer your question more directly, I don't necessarily think people have changed. I just think that the ocean is bigger. And so because as humans, we have a negativity bias, you're going to have many more people that aren't your match than are.
And I love that he said this. So oftentimes I feel like in the conversation when it comes to dating, I think people always like to go at the narrative, oh, there's more men than there's women, there's more women than there's men, this, that, and the third. But he made such a good point here. She basically asked that, oftentimes that is the narrative that's pushed out there. But the point is this. Before social media, before dating sites, you truly were just kind of tied in and locked into your neighborhood, your community, your circle of where you live. Now, with the help of the World Wide Web and the internet and all these dating apps that are left, right, up, down, everywhere, you're not just dating in your community. You are open to the entire world if you want to do your settings that way on a dating app. So whereas it may seem like, oh, we have more this, we have more that, it's not that you have more this or that. You're just more so in a wider range, if that makes sense. So it's not as if, oh, I'm a single man out here and there's so many single women, I'm gonna pick and choose who I want. It's the same for men and women, honestly, because now you're able to date internationally in the US. If I'm in North Carolina, I can date somebody in Texas and just fly back and forth. I can meet somebody so much easier across the United States because I have the internet. And so I like how he explains that, and also explains that it's not as much so I have more people. It's just more I have more access to other areas and other regions. And I love that he said that because it just comes off very negatively. And I feel like oftentimes people like to make women feel like they don't have a lot of options, they don't have a lot of choices, and the numbers are more favorable to men. But the numbers are more favorable to humans in general because you can date from your freaking couch in another state. You know what I'm saying? So I love that he said that.
Makes it feel like it's worse. Go for the nerds. The nerds are, if you say that this guy's corny, then he has the potential to be your husband.
Is that what you mean when you say, or maybe you meant something different, your dream guy is not necessarily your husband?
That's 100% correct.
I freaking love that. I've been saying this shit for years. Now, I haven't taken this advice myself, but I have been saying this for years. I've been saying this. Corny is what's in. Nerd is what's in. I feel like every woman, not every woman, but a lot of women out here want this roughneck. A lot of women out here want this thug. A lot of women, and that's also a narrative, honestly. I don't think women truly want a thug, but I think that women like a man that's kind of rough around the edges. And so many times I've seen, especially on these dating shows, that if a guy comes out and he's maybe dressed weirdly or talks weirdly or, whatever, they deem him to be a nerd, then they automatically scrape him from the choice, from the option. And that is the dumbest thing you could ever do. It is programmed in our mind to want this certain type of man, and that's not oftentimes the man that is best for you. Wouldn't you rather a nerd who can teach you some stuff than a roughneck who you don't even know what he's doing at night? It just doesn't make sense to me. You have to date to me. And I feel like I've said this. So to hear him say that made me feel very vindicated in my thought process. The nerd, find the nerd. I love that he's saying this because it really just speaks to what I've been thinking for a while. Corny, nerd is not an automatic no. What you think you want likely isn't what you need. What you need sometimes isn't what you want, but it's what you need, and it's the best outcome. So I love that he said this here.
You've said it before, which I found fascinating. Charisma and all of that kind of wears off after the first 18 months, and then
Correct.
It gets real. Elaborate on
the
that.
honeymoon phase.
Exactly. Chemically speaking, the spark, chemistry, which is what a lot of people actually focus on, that fades within 18 months. And that's why you have a lot of relationships, marriages that are ending in the first 2 years, which conditional love.
I freaking love that. I'm going to tell you why, because sustainability, right? We make it sound so business, so technical, so scientifical, but he is so right. What is going to sustain a relationship? And that point and that statistic that he provided, that when you are dating someone and you're going based off of how you feel and those butterflies and not based off of sustainability, then it's likely going to fall apart. It's not going to last, because those butterflies, those, I feel a little bit tingly, or he's so fun, or this, that, and the third, that shit wears off. What is going to sustain the relationship once the fun wears off? What if that person gets a little bit overweight? What if that person, there's so many different things that can change the honeymoon stage, right? When you think about the honeymoon stage, it's fun. A honeymoon is typically a short amount of time that you have, and you're in a celebratory spirit after your wedding. That's truly what a honeymoon is by definition. So when you're in that honeymoon phase, it is literally a temporary situation, because here's a prime example. Honeymoon stage is fun. You're just meeting someone. It feels good. It's new. It's fresh. You have the butterflies. You're really being led by those endorphins of the newness and the freshness. And a lot of times those endorphins, you'll see the red flags, but those endorphins, that excitement of the honeymoon of something fresh and new, it makes you put a mask over the red flags. And so when that honeymoon begins to wear off, and then people's representative, right? People oftentimes come in one way and it's not even who they truly are. So when that wears off, what is going to sustain once that honeymoon period is over? That's something that should be really more so in the forefront. Like, you have to be really cautious about moving based on feelings and not based on fact. Moving based on feelings and not based on statistics, on trends, on, someone's history before you. There's so many different things that you have to really truly use your brain and not your feelings and emotions to make lifelong decisions. And I love that he says this here.
Chemistry, which is what a lot of people actually focus on, fades within 18 months. And that's why you have a lot of relationships, marriages that are ending in the first 2 years, which is more prevalent, I think, in Black and brown communities than other communities. But a lot of us really focus on the physicality, the chemistry, because many of us, I think that there are 3 ways to connect: physically, intellectually, and emotionally. And when you grow up like us, we don't talk a lot about feelings in the home. We're kind of just told what to do and what we should do, and we kind of do it, which means that many of us are emotionally stunted. And what happens is we will overly compensate for that emotional connection with physical, which is the spark, which is chemistry, or the intellectual. He's got to be educated, right? I want to talk to him about the art that I saw at the museum. Like, he's got to be able to. And it is because we aren't as practiced with the emotional connection, with vulnerability, with speaking about our feelings. How do we feel?
Now, emotional and vulnerability. Now, I think he's going to get a little bit more into this as the interview goes on, but that stood out to me so much. He literally said that physicality, intellectual, and emotional are the 3 attractors of a relationship, but with emotional being the main one that women sense and tend to ignore. Because in typically Black and brown households, emotions and feelings were not something that we typically talked about. I know in my household growing up, you knew that we loved each other, but we didn't say it. We weren't huggers. We weren't touching. We weren't feeling. And I guess honestly, I was more so touchy-feely which sounds weird, with my father and my brothers, but not so much with my mother. And you see how that can kind of manifest in how you look for a partner and what you need in a partner. Because sometimes you want things in a partner that you maybe didn't get when you were growing up, right? So the emotional and vulnerable piece that so many of us do not feel comfortable divulging when you're in those first probationary period of dating, I'll say. He's going to go further and talk about the importance of being vulnerable as Black women. And it makes you think. It really, really makes you think. I feel like as Black women, especially from our mothers, we're taught, even now to this day, we're taught not to be vulnerable, not to open up too much to a man because a man will use that against you. Don't be so vulnerable. Don't show him all your cards. But what he's about to say next is actually life-changing in this dating game.
And you touched on doing it from within feminine energy rather than, masculine energy. Can you tell me the difference of the two and how you can get the outcome that you want by using your emotions and tapping into your emotions?
Yeah, great question. I think that a lot of women, but I want to say specifically Black and brown women, are very scared to be vulnerable. And what I think they've been taught is if you're vulnerable, you're weak. And in dating and relationships, being vulnerable is probably the hugest superpower that you can have. And I'll tell you why. First, when you're vulnerable, you are actually being able to evaluate your partner's like emotional capacity and sensitivity. And respectfully speaking, most men don't have it. So when you're not vulnerable, what happens is that you actually allow more people into your sphere. And what happens is you start to warm up to them and you start to like them. And that's when you are vulnerable. But at that point, it's too late and you're already sprung. Jesus. So it's harder to leave them. And most people end up with emotionally unavailable partners because of that. Versus learning and having the emotional confidence to be vulnerable from the get-go and being able to evaluate their emotional capacity then to be able to know if they're a great partner or not. The other thing is the feminine energy is about...
Before he even goes there, think about that, right? That makes so much sense. And I can see as a woman, especially a woman who has dated in the past, you know, you are programmed not to open up, not to be vulnerable because you don't want to scare someone away or you don't want to feel like they have information that they're going to use negatively. But this is what I get from him and what he's saying. And my brother said this to me a while ago. If you're going to scare someone away, then scare them away because that's not your person. So I think a lot of women do this when it comes to dating. Like we tiptoe around certain conversations. We tiptoe around what do we really want out of this relationship. We tiptoe around anything and everything that aligns with vulnerability, emotional, and certain desires, non-sexual desires. I desire to be a wife. I desire to be a mother. I desire to, go out to eat every other Friday. Certain things that this is our true desires. This is us truly being vulnerable. Oh, I didn't have a father growing up and I sometimes struggle with, this, that, and the third. That's a level of vulnerability that either it's going to awaken the masculine in the partner and activate that and not make them run, or it's going to activate the little kid, the immaturity, and the feminine in a partner and make them run. And to me, what he's saying and what I get is make these niggas run. Like, make them run because that's not your person. You don't want a feminine man, you don't want an immature man, and you don't want another little kid, especially if you have little kids that you have to raise, period. So I love this conversation that he's having, that he's going to dig more into about Black women, femininity, emotional, and vulnerability in those conversations in the dating space, life-changing.
The masculine energy is about leading with head and thought and strategy and action. Femininity is about, and I know it's ironic since I am a man talking about femininity, but it's about leading with feelings. It's about being. It's not about doing. And so...
Did you catch that? Femininity is about being, not with doing. And I can see that some women might struggle with this, like, concept and way of thinking, because unfortunately a lot of women have been put in positions, I don't think I have, but a lot of women have been put in positions where they're forced to be more masculine. Now, I've experienced that, but that's not my typical experience, right? So a lot of women have been forced to be in spaces growing up, or even when they're out the house, where now they're forced to be both the man and the woman in some type of capacity. And so now you don't know when to turn that off, when to turn that on. But organically, a woman she's supposed to feel soft, feminine, delicate. A man is supposed to do. Now, I didn't say it, he said it, but I thoroughly agree. Like, the man is supposed to be the doer. The man is supposed to lead with head, thought, action, doer, planner. I should not, as a woman, be making plans and thoughts. I should not be and again, my opinion, you don't have to agree. I agree with him. And I think that's why we're so distorted in these relationships, because we have women moving in their masculine and we have men moving in their feminine, and the shit is just haywire. I think that men organically and naturally are the doers. They're the fixers. They're that they have that extra level of fix it, do, plan. Here's what we're doing next. This, that, and the third, that women need so badly. But unfortunately, a lot of men are not moving in that space. And then it makes a woman step out of the feminine, step into the masculine, and now we have women doing, fixing, planning, doing all these masculine things, and now the man is feeling demasculated because the woman is like having to have a dick. I always say it. Women don't want a penis, but sometimes their penis grows bigger and bigger because of the men that they choose.
I'm always of the mindset that we don't tell people what we want. We share with them how things would make us feel.
Jesus.
So this morning, I was doing some role playing with a coaching client of mine in Charlotte, and she's about to have an exclusivity conversation with her guy.
Thank you, Lord.
And what I was telling her is like, when you're having this conversation, don't tell him, I want to be in an exclusive relationship, right? We don't tell men what to do, right? What we do is we say,
play that back. We don't tell men what to do. We should not be telling men what to do. This is life changing. Listen to this shit.
I'd be really happy if we were in an exclusive relationship. We lead with the feeling first, always. Because when you are leading with feelings, what happens is you will activate the masculine in your guy, because it is men are hardwired to want to protect you. So your feelings will be the GPS roadmap for him to understand how he can protect you or not. So when you're sharing, that makes me really sad, right? Or, yeah, I'm really disappointed.
Very, very triggering. I got to play that back because I got to make sure that you receive that, because I think that if you don't get anything else in what he's saying, this level of communication and delivery will literally change your life.
What happens is you will activate the masculine. Don't tell him, I want to be in an exclusive relationship, right? We don't tell men what to do, right? What we do is we say, I would be really happy if we were in an exclusive relationship. We lead with the feeling first, always. Because when you are leading with feelings, what happens is you will activate the masculine in your guy, because it is men are hardwired to want to protect you. So your feelings will be the GPS roadmap.
And I have to say this because I could hear women now. You have to really listen to words that he's using. This will activate the masculine in a man and make him want to provide, protect, act. The key word is a man, not a man-child, not a mangina, not a immature, unhealed boy. You have to be actually engaging with the masculine. And it's something that you have to really kind of put your receptors on, your intuition. Like we're not dumb. We're not dumb. We're literally just playing dumb because we want to get this thing that we think we want, versus getting the things that we need that will sustain longevity. Women are not stupid. You know what I'm saying? Men are not stupid. You know a healed, confident, masculine man when you see one. And you also know a unhealed, fake masculine, toxic masculine man when you see one. So you have to move accordingly, because when you're moving in your feminine energy and you see that, okay, I'm in my feminine energy, I'm doing what I know that I'm supposed to do, and now he's also in his feminine energy, that's not going to work. Now, if you want that, if you like that, then it will work. But as for me and my house, I don't need another woman. I'm straight. I'm a straight woman. I don't want another woman. I don't want another woman to be dealing with. I want to be able to activate and stand in femininity, and then have a masculine energy to balance, lead, protect, provide. So you have to really kind of pay attention to the words that he's saying. Man, not man-child.
To understand how he can protect you or not. So when you're sharing, that makes me really sad, right? Or, yeah, I'm really disappointed in this. That goes much further than trying to tell some man about himself.
I really miss you, and I like spending time with you. Think about, even look at how I looked and how I said that, right? It's a very vulnerable place to say to a man, I really miss you and I really want to spend time with you. That is the most feminine thing. Oh, you ain't never around. I'll never get to see you. Like, you ain't never here. You're not this, you're not that. First of all, a man ain't even going to hear that, because now they feel triggered. They feel like attacked. And you're not here to appease a man. You're here to get what you want, period, point blank. I love how that feels when I say that, even to the camera. I really miss you and I want to spend time with you. And again, especially when you're dating and you're not like locked down and tied into someone in a marriage, that's when you're collecting that data. And if a man responds to you negatively by you expressing in a healthy way those emotions, those feelings, likely not the man for you.
This one goes in one ear and out the other, and all he wants to do is appease you. So he'll just say whatever for you to, respectfully speaking, shut up. Instead of saying, I really miss the times that we would just like go to those random weekend trips. And you remember that one time that we did? Oh my God, that was so amazing. Aww. You don't have to even tell him to do that. Yeah. Now you've inspired him, which is what the feminine energy is all about.
Exactly.
And now he's looking up trips to replay that because he wants to satisfy you. Because if a man is truly in his masculine, his pleasure is derived from your pleasure.
Jesus.
Right?
And did I just not say that? This ain't gonna work with a psychopath. This ain't gonna work with another feminine man, like a feminine man. This isn't gonna work with a feminine energy at all. Like none of this shit is gonna work with someone that has issues, problems, and is in their feminine as well. Because now there's two women trying to get a man to get what they need, and somebody's gonna lose, child. And sometimes it could be the woman. You can have a man and a woman dating together, married, living, whatever the case might be, and they're two feminine energies. Well, somebody's going to win out. And even if somebody doesn't win and walk 100% in their femininity, you're going to lose your femininity. It's going to be chopped off like Kunta Kinte foot. Small. And next thing you know, you have grown a 6-inch penis. And you're like, where did that come from? Because you're now having to compete with someone that looks like a man, talks like a man, but's truly a woman with very feminine energy, and it just does not work. It just takes away your feminine energy.
I'm just so, like, I've always been headstrong. I've always been like, I got me, independent Black woman. And like Jeanette just said, it took me so long to realize that if I just do those, just change the way I communicate and say,
seeing her say that is just so interesting to me. I always hear men in conversation say they don't want no independent woman. Like they don't want no type of Black woman that's like, oh, I don't need a man. I can do it myself. And I'd be like, child, no woman is out here saying that. Like I've never heard any woman out here like, I'm woman, hear me roar. I don't need a man. I can do it myself. Like, but that's a true thing. I need a man. I can't do it myself. I don't want to do it myself. Like, I need a man. I'm not Miss Independent. Do not want to be. I need a man, period, point blank. And I thought that was the sentiments of most women. But I'm starting to find that these Black men are not lying. A lot of Black women do like to stay in that masculine state. And I can do it on my own. I don't need your help. Leave me alone. And that's crazy work to me.
It really makes me happy when this happens. We even like outside of the dating phase, well into marriage, it is just an effective communication style.
Yeah. 100%. I will just say there are different levels of femininity, right? There is kind of what I call level 3, which is kind of codependent, right? She's like calling him and texting him and like, putting her whole world onto him, right? That stresses a guy out and is overwhelming, and he's gonna wanna run the other way. Level 2, which is where most Black and brown women are, is Miss Independent, who does everything for herself because unfortunately she's had to, and she hasn't had people to really rely on and depend on. But when you say things like, I got it, he takes that as rejection.
Ew.
He takes that as, oh, you don't think I can get it for you? And he's going to find a woman who he can be in his masculine with and feel actualized.
What would you say to people who are saying that's just protecting a fragile ego? A man shouldn't, because the reality is there is some controversy about this whole like, having to be feminine and allowing him to be masculine. What's your response to that?
Well, I will say that I think that there is a balance, right? And I would just say like the level 1 of this is interdependence, whereas you allow someone to do something for you and you take something off of your plate, and that's okay too. This whole feminine energy is about what feels good for you.
Love it.
When you're
Love
talking
it.
about a man's ego, those people that are focused on that are doing it for him. And there's
Now, I'm going to get back to this, but that whole notion of allowing him to be masculine, that was kind of triggering for me. I haven't heard many men say that, but I have experienced that. And when I hear a man say something like, oh, you're not allowing me to be masculine, number one, hold the mirror up. I always say that, but I don't think you're the person for me, because at the end of the day, there could be a lot of reasons why a woman isn't allowing a man to be masculine, right? Because I don't want the men just to think that this is, point at the women. Oftentimes, and I can only speak for myself, I have been in a situation where I felt so unsafe emotionally, so unsafe in every way. So now I'm unsafe with you just on a basic communication space. So now if I actually do need help, or if you ask me if I need help with something, I don't feel safe to take that help. And here's the thing, you shouldn't be with that person. But I just wanted to give an example to speak to, okay, there can be reasons why a woman isn't allowing a man to be masculine with her, because in other areas he has made her feel unsafe. He has made her feel unseen. He has made her feel like she needs protection from this man. So yeah, like, no, I can't allow you to be masculine with me personally, because I don't even feel safe with you on a basic level. I don't even feel safe near you and around you on a basic level. So I don't need your help. I might desperately need help, but I don't want your help because I don't feel safe.
tension difference here, right? The intention inside of yourself has to be, how can I get the most pleasure from this experience?
I love that.
That's the feminine, right? How can I feel good? And so if your intention is, it would feel really good for me to take a really nice bubble bath and he can do X, Y, and Z. That's great. That's level one. If it is, let me just make him busy so that he can get out of my hair and he can feel good about himself, the intention is off.
Mm-hmm. Now, I truly like the thought of what he's saying. Feminine is what feels good for you. I hate, one thing I want to make sure I'm not doing is tap dancing and pussy popping around this conversation, because I know that typically I try to be cautious of, this is just my opinion, but I have to get out of that because listen, this channel ain't gonna be for everybody. It is what it is. But I'm just so much into, the femininity and women resting in their femininity, and Black women especially having those safe spaces to where they can rest in their femininity. And, it's just such an important thing for me right now. So when I hear him saying feminine is what feels good, that resonates with me. Women, we go get our toes done. We go get our feet done. A wax doesn't feel good. But, we do these things that make us feel good, because that's a part of, in my opinion, that's a part of walking and moving and thriving in your feminine energy. Like, what feels good? Like, when I buy these scented candles and I put them out around my house, and so when I come in my house smells like a freaking farm, like a freaking candle, birthday candle, whatever the case might be, like, that makes me feel good. That's feminine energy. My house is perfectly decorated and curated for what feels good. What makes me feel dainty and feminine is, are those certain things. And I think sometimes we ignore what feels good. And like he's saying, we think about the other person. If that makes sense, meaning that I'm not thinking about, as a woman, which is so special to be a woman, I'm not thinking about what makes me feel good. I'm thinking about how I can pacify this man, or how I'm thinking about everybody but myself, basically. And women have to kind of get back to being in that feminine and being a little bit selfish and focusing on what makes me feel good. Like, what makes me feel good? What makes me feel soft? Because when I feel good and when I feel soft, the man, and protected and safe, the man on the other end of that is going to get everything and more. because he's creating an environment for me that I can feel comfortable, that I can breathe. I feel safe. I feel seen. I feel protected. I feel covered. I feel like I can rest in my femininity. And that's something that we're always hearing a woman say. And some men are like, what does that mean? What does that mean? But to be able to rest in your femininity is like one of the best free gifts that a man can give you. True tea.
And the nature of the interaction will be off as well, because men are very intuitive and they will sense that sort of energy as well. I think a lot of people talk about women's intuition. Men are very intuitive. That's why predators can focus on women that have often been prey.
How do you avoid someone who just leads with too much toxic masculinity?
I think that women that are in their masculine energy will attract those kinds of men. And they will also attract the more dominant feminine men. So relationships are really about the yin and the yang. And a woman
that I wrote a question down in my notes because I have experienced that recently, the toxic masculinity. And it made me ask myself, what about me? What part did I play on attracting toxic masculinity? What about me? What did I say? What did I give that made me attract toxic masculinity? And I think that this came to mind. When you're a woman of in a certain phase of life, I hear a lot of women say, I heard a girl say this to me this weekend with tears in her eyes, I'm 30 something years old. I want a kid. I want a husband. I have this timeline. And so when a woman thinks like that, she begins to put these ticking time bombs on herself. And now she's not in like natural frequency and alignment. She's more so in panic mode. So example, you're 38 years old, sometimes 35, child. Sometimes these women are 32, 22. You feel like, oh my God, my time is running out. I want to have a kid by this age. I want to be married by this age. I'll be 39 in 2 more years. I'm in panic mode. So now I'm going to ignore certain things that I should not ignore. And I'm going to put my focus more so on my goal and my desire to have a husband, to have children. And I'm going to kind of ignore who this man is at the core. So now I'm picking a partner based off of panic mode. I'm not picking a partner based off of like, God, order my steps, put me in position, show me what I need to fix in myself to attract the man that you have for me, blah, 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 blah. Like there's certain things that you should be thinking, not in anything, not in work, not in relationship, not in friendship, not in anything should you ever be moving from a space of anxiety and fear, because you're going to make a bad choice. You're going to make a bad decision. And sometimes you get so far damn deep in that decision where you're like, damn, how did I fucking get here after all these years? What have I done? What did I do? And it's because, me personally, I think that it's because you're leaning to your own understanding and not to God's understanding. And so you're making all these decisions, sometimes lifelong decisions that you never even consulted God. Like, God, is this what you want for me? Maybe you didn't go to therapy and say, hey, I met this person. This is how I truly feel. And let me hold that mirror up to my face and be like, you know what? I'm picking this man based off of all the wrong things. I'm not looking at his pattern with women. I'm not looking at his moral compass. I'm not looking at, okay, yeah, he may have a job and make money, but who is he outside of work? Who is he to the neighbor? Who is he to the children? You know what I'm saying? Like, who is this person at the core? And so we miss out on these red flags because we're putting these ticking time bombs on ourselves. And we're number one, not consulting with God about these decisions that we're making. So now we have attracted someone who is toxic, who lacks masculinity. And now we're 10 years in and we're like, how do we get here?
Our masculine energy will attract 2 kinds of men, either a man that's in his hyper toxic masculinity or a man that's in his dominant feminine energy. And so those hyper toxic masculine men will want to forcibly submit the women into their feminine, right? In terms of like toxic masculine men and leading with providing, this is why it's important for women to show up on dates and take up space on dates as well. I always tell my clients, like, I need you to be speaking 50% of the time. I need you to be sharing your vulnerability and seeing how he responds. Don't be afraid to brag and see how he responds to that.
This is interesting.
So a lot of traditional kind of advice for women has been, let him talk. He'll like you. He'll fall in love with you if you just like let him talk. And, you know, I work with very powerful, successful women who don't need to play small, like, because that's not who they are. And so I think it's important for you to show up as your full authentic self on these dates. And I know that sounds really cliche, but especially when it comes to Black and brown women, I know that they split themselves in their lives. They code switch, right?
That makes sense though, because it's basically you want the dynamic of that first date to be similar to what the relationship itself would
100%.
be.
Period. Show up, take up space, talk at least 50% of the time. Now, I found that to be kind of interesting, especially me being a talker. You got to be careful with that. Great advice, but you have to be careful with that. You know, I'll just say that. Be careful with that piece. But when she said that your first date should be a replica of what your relationship is going to be, bars. That is 100% bars. You should not go on this first date tiptoeing and pussy popping around who you truly authentically are. I know when I was in the dating space, that is something I did very well. I came up, I'm who I am, child. Give me a cocktail. Let's have a conversation. And if I don't like you, then I literally will never talk to you ever again because, you know, it's a waste of my time. And I do think that a lot of women show up on these dates not being who they are, code switching because they so desperately want a man. So now they're not walking in who they authentically are, and they're showing up, and that's your fault. You're showing up, fake voice, not eating all your food, you know, ordering some BS because you're scared to order something, you know, order something big because you're thinking about the man. But no, how does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? Like, how does it feel to be sitting here at this coffee shop, at this, you know, at this bar, at this dinner table with this man? Why would you show up to be somebody fake? And now you got to like slowly reveal your true self over a course of dates. No, like people don't be having time for that. The same way that he said, you know, hey, this is not just dating your neighbor or going to the grocery store and meeting a person. This is literally like you're kind of speed dating through life. Like you're speed dating. You know, when you're actively dating, you should be in a space of kind of low-key speed dating. So why would you waste your time and the person's time and not even show up as you truly are? And here's the thing, if you're not a talker, if you're a quiet person, then why the fuck would you be talking 50% of the time? That's not even who you are. So you go to a date, you talking because Anwar told you to. That's not who you really are. So now you're still faking the funk. You got to really be who you authentically are, because that should be, like she said, a replica of what the relationship will be. I'm a talker. Maybe you don't like a talker. You know what I'm saying? I'm a drinker. I'll have a cocktail. Maybe you don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Be who you are and don't be fake. Because it's going to be a mirror of how that potential match would be going forward.
Right. A lot of men pursue them. They have so much energy in the beginning. They are whining and dining them. And then it just fizzles off. And so why do you find that to be the case where you can't sustain a relationship? Or you find that people are interested in the beginning and then they lose interest?
Oftentimes it's because men don't find an emotional connection with them. That there hasn't been true vulnerability. It's not enough to just talk about work. Men have to feel seen and not just, you know, thanked for what they do, right? I always say like the wife formula is homie, lover, friend, right? Are you a homie?
Period.
Are you a lover? Are you a friend? And most of those very smart and successful women kind of tend to just be lovers.
That is a bar. Now, that is a bar. That is literally, I think, one of the other things to really, really kind of take away from this episode and from what he's saying. Homie, lover, friend. It's a combination. It's a balance, right? Especially when you think about those hardworking men, whether you're hardworking corporate, whether you're hardworking blue collar, whatever you are. Especially, you know, you go to work. Think about it. Man goes to work all day. Maybe they're code switching. You know what I'm saying? whatever the case might be, they come home and then you're nagging or you ain't no fun. You're just sitting there, whatever the case might be. I think the homie, lover, friend combo is what a lot of women be missing. Now, who am I to say, honey? Who am I to say? But I like that. I like the combination of being a homie, lover, friend. They always say, oh, be his peace. Be his peace. Again, it ain't all about him. But see, I only said that just because I didn't want to offend nobody. It kind of is all about him, especially when he is doing those things that put you in a very comfortable, safe, peaceful space. Listen, I don't care what y'all say. It is all about him. Because when you come from a mindset like that, that traditional space, he's going to give you what you need. Now, my opinion, don't shoot me up in the comments. I do believe that. It's a good amount of it is all about him. When a man is working, you know, like I said, providing in all the different ways, not just financially. Oh shit. Oh, good news. You know, doing all the things. He deserves a hot meal. I freaking saw this TikTok of this girl. Her name is Paris. I'll try to include her information, her TikTok somewhere. She had a video, and I think she might even be a stay-at-home mom, maybe a content creator. Her man was at work somewhere, blue collar worker, somewhere at work. I don't know where he worked. What she did, she ran his bathwater, cooked him a plate. When he came in the house, she greeted him, hugged him. You know, she had on a robe, but she still looked good. Greeted her man at the door, hugs and kisses. They had a conversation. She poured him a cocktail. They were talking for a minute, you know, relaxing him. He done been out there in the world all day. You ain't even got to work, girl. So yeah, when you come home, I'm gonna be ready. Dinner cooked, conversation there. That's the homie piece. Then they ate, they enjoyed each other. She ran a bowl bath for him. She had his plate. She had all these different things. She cleaned the kitchen, went upstairs, and she did a lover and a friend stuff. So she had it all across the board. They just got married maybe a couple of years ago, but they've still been, they seem to have a very good relationship from the outside looking in. But I say that to say that to me, that is where it comes in, homie, lover, friend. Like, I don't mind being your piece. If you're my piece, I don't mind being your piece times 10. I think one of the things that men don't understand is that women don't even require, like a lot of women don't require that much. I know it's this whole hypergamous, buy me a bag, buy me this, buy me that movement. But when I think about the most successful relationships that I know personally, it's not on that time. It's not on that time. It's about the peace that you provide. Lord, peace is the most invaluable thing that you can give your partner, especially a man to a woman. Peace. Free 99. So I love the whole concept of that homie, lover, friend.
The women that are dating for marriage actually get more disappointed and more frustrated because they're thinking that every guy that they talk to can be the one. And guess what? 97% of the guys that you talk to, you won't have a third date with. So think about that balance of disappointment to quote unquote success. And you will realize that those women that actually date to marry, they have more of a start and stop pattern when it comes to dating. And when you have a start and stop pattern, what happens is that when you stop, you lose all of your dating momentum and your results.
So you should have a roster.
Always. Always. I call it Olympic dating. You got to have a gold medalist, a silver medalist, and a bronze medalist.
Expand on that for me. Because some people would say you got too much.
I love that. I saw a podcast recently with the red pill niggas saying, oh my God, if she's out here and has a roster, we don't want to hear that, blah, 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 blah. He's going to go into explaining this, and I hate to kind of cut it off at this great point, but so smart. So smart. Like, you have to have, it's the Olympics out here. If you're out here dating and you want to be with somebody, if you want to actively be dating, again, I'm not in that space, but if you're out here and you want to be actively dating with someone, and your goal is to maybe meet that long-term person that can sustain, you'd be dumb as hell to be dating one person and putting all your eggs in one basket. That makes absolutely no sense.
You're not focusing on one thing, so your attention is divided.
It should be. It should be. Because none of these men...
And I loved what he said. Sorry, I got so distracted. I love what he said about... what did he just say? Dating... I don't love it, but it was interesting. It was interesting to hear him say that, you know, dating not to marry, but to meet, dating to meet people. You know, you can still have an end goal to find your husband, find your wife while you're dating, but you have to understand that not every person that you meet is going to be the one. There are those great success stories of where, oh my God, I met my husband on his first date. He proposed to me 2 months later and we've been married for 20 years. That does happen. That can happen. But I feel like, you know, when you are dating just to understand that you're dating to collect data until God sends you the right person, if you come into it with that mindset, I think that that's when the frequency of, oh my God, I got to find a partner by the summertime. I don't want to be alone. Or, oh my God, you know, when you come at it from a very frantic, anxiety filled space, you attract some bullshit. But when you come at it from, you know, I'm just meeting people, you know, trying to see what I like, trying to see what I don't like, just, you know, if you're single, then you there's nothing wrong with having friends and meeting people. Like, that's a part of just life. You're not dating with the anxiety of, oh my God, I really hope this is the one. That is dumb. I've done that in the past, and that's so stupid. I would never do that again. I think it's very smart to date on a very friendly level, and then if one hits, one hits. But until you have a ring on your finger, until you are in a committed relationship, you're a single person, period, point blank.
Are the one until they're the one.
Are the one until they're the one.
It's interesting. A lot of women say, oh, but I can't do that. It's too much. And to the women that say that, I say it is probably too much because you're treating one man and giving 100% of your energy to each man. So yeah, you're expending 300% of your energy and heart space and love. And each of these men should have 33%.
Should the men know that they are one of many?
If they ask, we should be honest.
Oh.
Yeah.
What I know for sure is that men who are very determined about you don't care because they know that they will win in the end.
They probably like the competition.
Exactly.
I don't know about that.
Because they know that they're not going to stop. Most men have an issue with this, though.
It's a bad bitch formula. I love it.
They have an issue with this because they want all your time and attention. This is a power and control thing.
Yeah.
So when he asks you, hey, are you seeing other people? Yes, I'm dating until I am in an exclusive, committed relationship.
Period.
And if they have a problem with them, let it go.
Let it go.
What are the top 5 red flags you should look out for? Like,
That's crazy. I literally had this conversation with my niece a couple of months ago, and my advice ended up to be the best advice. Thank you. You're welcome. Dating someone that been dating for a while, the dates were not consistent enough, and it made her feel some kind of way, just to sum it up. And my advice was like, girl, first of all, why are you putting your eggs all in this one basket? I'm sure like when you're not with him, he could be with other people and vice versa. Like, it's not even a game. It's just being smart. If you're dating with the intention of potentially or sometime finding the person, finding your one, why would you meet a guy that you don't even know much about and then be like, oh snap, oh he's fine, or oh he make a lot of money, so let me just put all my eggs in that basket and then ignore everybody else and get off the dating site? That's so stupid. Like, that's dumb. Numbers wise, that doesn't even make sense. You don't even know this man. You've gone on a couple of dates with him. You don't know what he's doing when he's not around you. And if this man is not giving you the impression that you are my one, you are the person that I want to spend all my time with, you will be a fool just to sit there and wait for this man to call you for the next date. We got to take the emotions and the feelings, and I know it kind of goes against what he just said, but we got to be smart. We know when to have our emotions and feelings, and we know when to use our freaking brain, you know? And so, and even there's an element of emotions in that, because you know what feels good to you. You know what doesn't feel good. I mean, how basic does that sound? What doesn't, feeling sad doesn't feel good. Feeling uncomfortable doesn't feel good. Having questions that you don't have the answers to don't feel good. There's a lot of things that don't feel good. So why would you intentionally put yourself in a space of something that does not feel good? I mean, like, we're grown. If you're dating, I hope that you're grown. So if you have questions, ask. If you need clarity, ask. If you are not this man's wife, or at least his fiance with a freaking wedding date, keep it moving. Have that roster. And I think that the thing about it is that roster sounds awful. Like, I think the roster part is what these red pill men are talking about. I don't want to call it a roster. I just want to call it being smart. You're dating until you're married. You're dating until you're married. It's very simple.
I'm someone who is very much about coffee dates. I think it
versus like a dinner date. You're saying,
I would never want my clients to have a dinner
said
date
it
for the first
first?
date.
And that's controversial. A lot of people say, no, I'm not going to get out of the house and put a makeup on and dress up for anything less than a $200 dinner.
So dumb.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of
This is why I love
toxic and narcissistic men will want to woo you in that way to get them into their spider web.
Jesus.
Right? And so a coffee date, I think, is really helpful because it is hard to hide when I'm just talking to you. Mm-hmm. And also, to be honest with you, most wealthy men actually prefer coffee dates than like these fancy dinner dates. And it is because wealthy men do their due diligence before they invest in anything.
Period.
So they want to know, shall I invest in this courtship or not? Right?
And you should be on the same
someone that's a little
time.
bit more flashy and just wants to impress you so that you can be wooed. And maybe your evaluation of him can be biased because I'm at Nobu, right? And this is like such a cool experience. And so I'm actually now, because I've had that date, I'm evaluating the date in totality and not the dater.
And Anwar,
say a word, say a word, say a word. If I had my organ, I would play it right now. Y'all be focused on the date. I could not have said this better. I said it, but he said it better. Focus more so on the date. Oh God, he got me a steak. Oh my God, he got me a black Uber to my house. Oh my God, you know, we went to Nobu. Oh my God, we went here and here. Blah, blah, blah. What about him? You're focused more so on the date and not the dater. And so he made the biggest point. This is where narcissists and gaslighters get you because they have to do all these grandiose things because it's not really about you. It's about them wanting to look big, looking like they got all this money. Oh, I took her here for our first date. Now I'm gonna talk about it for the rest of your life because whatever the case might be. Like, fuck that. I don't care. And I agree with him hands down. I've said it before in my other episode. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about no grandiose date if I'm just meeting you, if I'm just getting to know you. He calls it poppy dates. And I don't know if I've already went there or if I'm going to get there. But I literally said this when this girl had this whole thing about she's not going on no coffee date. She's not going on no cocktail date. You are so dumb. That is so stupid to me. That is so dumb. And the part that he said about narcissist men hiding behind these grandiose dates, it's not even about you. Oftentimes, he's not even taking you on these grandiose dates because he's thinking so much about you. He's doing it because he's thinking about himself because he's a narcissist. You know, he wants to be able to brag about a date he took you on. He wants to feel like now you're indebted to him because you took him on he took you on this big old date. And now, like he said, it's more so about the date, less about the dators. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your life growing up. What do you enjoy? What don't you enjoy? What kind, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the focus, not whether or not I took you to Nobu or not. Hiding behind the big date is something that women need to focus on. And that's where I think that these dating coaches get it mixed up and they lead you the wrong way because they're more so focused on the hypergamous, on the what can I get out of you financial wise? Can I get a steak out of you? Can I get a bag out of you? Can I get money out of you? Can I get this Uber cost out of you? But this man ain't even worth it. You've literally wasted your time. You talk about not wanting to wear no expensive perfume or waste no expensive perfume on a coffee or a cocktail date, but you're wasting it anyway. Yeah, you got a steak, but girl, hopefully you can buy your own steak. Hopefully. You know what I'm saying? So you're wasting it at any rate because that date isn't even going to progress to anything. So I think that, again, this is another reason why I really like the stuff that he says. I think he steers the girls in the right way.
You say, though, for someone who says that you're setting the stage, that you're low maintenance, that you're okay with something like that?
I'm someone who encourages my clients to see the trajectory of the courtship, right? So you want to see, do things start to, is there more and more investment as the courtship goes on, right? Like, if I'm doing a coffee date and date 5, that's a no for me, dog.
What are your views on dating potential?
I don't believe in potential. For me, I think, I used to, on Saturday mornings, go with my mom and we used to shop at thrift stores all day long. And I think of potential in the same way as I think of those Saturday mornings shopping with her, which is there's a lot of as is signs on the merchandise. And I think potential is not real. I think it's imaginary, and I think it's a projection of what you want, but not what is. And so you play yourself when you date based on potential.
Hands down, period, point blank. He talks about focusing on the trajectory. Now, again, this is where I think these dating coaches talking about don't go on these cocktail dates, this, that, and the third. This is where they get it wrong. This is where it falls off. You're focused more on the date, not on the dater. Now, if he's trying to take you out to coffee or to have a cocktail on the third, fourth, and fifth date, then we have a problem. There should be progression. These are like basic life principles that should apply in every case. What is the trajectory? How have I evolved? Okay, I have to meet you in order to like know you. I have to meet you in order to like get an idea of if I want to even have a second date with you. Now that I'm going to my second date, okay, now I'm kind of looking at how you are evolving, how these dates are evolving a little bit more. Now we're on our third date. How has the trajectory, the progression from date 1 evolved to date 3, evolved to date 4 on both sides? You ain't got to get all dolled up and dressed up because that's not who you are every day. You're not dolled up and dressed up every day around the house. Like, again, why are you so focused on your perfume? Why are you so focused on being dolled up? You're focused on sustaining a long-term relationship. You not around the house dressed up all day, ball gown, wig on if you wear one, hair not rolled up. I roll my hair up at night, child. Like, you got to keep it a buck. And this is why the shit don't sustain. This is why you're divorced in 2 years, because you all focus on the wrong thing. Dater, not the date.
But it's not promised. Okay. And oftentimes when you are thinking about this person's potential.
This is something that a lot of us do. Men and women. It's not just women. We see the potential in somebody. And like he said, this shit ain't real. This shit ain't even real. Like, it's not real. Potential is not real. It's the hope for. I hope that maybe I see that you're a abuser, but you have the potential to not be an abuser. Why would I roll my dice on that? I see that you don't, I don't know, like, what's something potential? I see that you earn $12 an hour, but you have the potential to earn $100 an hour. I don't want to put my bank in that. I just don't want to put my bank on what could be. Now, I think that when you get older, this becomes a little bit more serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to finances, there's certain things that they have the potential to be that maybe there's a little bit more wiggle room on when you're young. But I'm talking to the 35 and up crowd. Like, some potential, like he said at point blank, is just something that I don't want to focus on. Like, I don't want to focus on your potential of what you could be. In most areas, I don't want to focus on potential. It's not real. It's a delusion. It's a illusion. It's something that you roll in the dice. Why would you roll the dice to get your feelings caught up with somebody on the potential that they could possibly maybe be this thing that doesn't exist? It's just not your person, period. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna go through this whole thing, child, because we're an hour in, and I want to just highlight some of the things that he said and then close out here. So one of the things that he said, again, we talked about the potential. We don't do potential. We want to date what's real and authentic. He does encourage women to date outside their race. I agree. You can have a preference for a black man, a preference for a white man, whatever you prefer, but it's not even about the color. If you're in your feminine, it's about how you feel. How does this person make me feel? I don't care if you're green. How do you make me feel? And again, I like the conversation that he has about, the femininity piece of it. I think when we tap into our femininity, it'll cascade to other areas of our lives and help us maybe be better at picking partners. How do you make me feel? Like, how do you truly make me feel? Do you make me feel like jumping from a building or like getting far away from you because you get on my nerves? Or do you make me feel like, man, I cannot wait to see you. I'm so excited to see you and tell you about my day. I'm so excited to have this conversation. I'm so excited to hear your point of view on something that I experienced, because you always have such a good way. How do I feel? I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. How do you make me feel? So that's a really good one. He also said at 35-30, may the best person win. I agree with that. Like, he calls it the Super Bowl of dating. Very, very catchy, but you're dating to collect data. At this point, this is kind of redundant. It should kind of be in your head. And when you're dating someone, I'm dating you, I'm dating you, I'm dating you, I'm dating you. And may the best guy win. Because when you know your worth, you know your femininity, you know how to pick, you know how to be chose. I'm a prize. I'm 100% a prize. So may the best person win. I agree with that. He also talks about not being on dating apps in December and being on dating apps in January if that's your thing. He said that this was a good thing that he said. He said that if you're going to be on a dating app, to indicate great things, be intentional about some of the verbiage that you put on your dating app. So indicate kind of where you like to go out for dates in your profile. So like, let's say you are the kind of person that likes to walk in the park on your first date, then maybe say that, I enjoy things like walking in a park. My ideal first date would be this, that, and the third, because then if it's a good man and if he's being intentional and if he can read and he's not on there just looking for a hookup, then he's going to read that and he's going to act accordingly. So I like that, being a little bit more intentional about the description and the bio in your dating profile. Selfish and self-centered. I believe he was talking about just being selfish, self-centered about yourself. I agree. This is my year to be selfish. I'm literally not going to put anybody else's needs ahead of mine anymore and waste a whole other year of my life. People are dying every day. Some people don't even have the option for tomorrow. They might not be here. Why would I waste my time on something or someone that does not provide me peace? I got to focus on myself, because then I show up the best person that I can be for my daughters. I show up the best person I can be for my friends, family, for everybody when I am happy. When I'm a happy person, then it just spreads and everybody gets a little piece of it.
Boundaries. What are they? When should we be exclusive? When do we go to the bedroom? All of that.
Well,
I'm trying to get this in because we're running out of time, but I need to get this answered.
I love this because
Yeah, no problem. So I think it's important to just let women know that you are the leaders of your own love life. You're the CEO of your love life, and you get to set the pace and the emotional depth of all your courtships. A lot of women are acting like the interns and not taking on that role. Ooh. And so it's very important for you just to remember that you're the CEO. So when I talk about these timelines, it is because you own this shit, right? And I want every woman to make sure that they understand that and really live in that. So in terms of like dating time boundaries, I always say when you meet a guy, whether it's offline or online, he has a week to ask you out. If he doesn't, he's out.
I agree.
If
I've always said this,
he doesn't continue asking you out every week, you need to be going on a date a week. If he doesn't, he's out. If you're not exclusive within 3 months, he's out. I
have said this. I love it and I live by it. I feel like a lot of girls girls when they're dating and when they're on these dating sites, they'll literally be talking to this man like he's in jail, like a pen pal, wasting your time. Like, sir, I've been talking to you for 5 days. If you don't have a date scheduled, lose my number, block me. I love the idea of what he's saying in terms of, you're the CEO, you're not the intern, so why are you acting like it? I mean, I think that one of the things that I think about is so many people will be like, oh my God, I met this really good guy on a dating app. We've been talking, but he hasn't asked me out. That's a period hard stop. Like, a lot of men, I think, on these dating sites often, and again, I have not been on them in years, but I think that they are there. Some of these people are married men just trying to talk to people. They're bored. They don't have any intention. Like, all from the first conversation. From the very first conversation, you're setting the tone for who you are, what your boundaries are, what you will accept, what you won't accept. So if you are talking to a guy, it's been 3 weeks and you're still talking to him, he's done nothing, there's no date, then it's like, you're the fool. You're the fool. Why would you invest time in a stranger hoping that he asks you out? I used to do this all the time. Like, okay, sir, I'm not going to be on here talking to you every day. My time is valuable. Not in that way, right? In a very feminine way, but your time is valuable, girl. Like, do not be sitting here having a freaking Like there are inmates in jail 3254 in the Bronx, and you sitting here being their pen pal. You know, if that's what you want, then do it. But if that's not what you want, you're not tied to having to message nobody. That's crazy to me. Now he goes into timelines. He says that, you know, after a week, you should be on that first date. After 3 months, you should be official. After a month, I should be official. If I'm dating you every week, I'm sorry. Maybe, okay. 3 months. Because here's the thing, I think that could be very subjective. I personally would not want to even be giving my body away like that. Now, I don't know. Those timelines are to your comfort level, but I do not think that after 3 months, you should be asking, what are we? That's crazy. Especially for my 35 and up crowd. This is not high school. This is not the prom. What are we is a dumbass question. If you have that, you better ask your ass off. And lastly, my last point that I had on my notes here at almost an hour and a half is that a man knows within 6 months. I agree with this. I have brothers, I have guy friends, and everybody will attest to this. Fuck 6 months. A man knows in a month. You know, a man knows if you're the one and if he would marry you, I want to say, in a month, damn near in a week. Depending on how much time you spend, a man knows, and your time is valuable. No way. No freaking way. Yeah. I'm gonna give you, I have a good friend. Swore up and down he was a bachelor of the world. I know he was lying. Even to this day, we talk about this to this day. We talked about this last week. Child, you don't want to be outside. No matter what you say, you don't want to be outside. You are a husband. You want to be a husband no matter what you say. No matter if it's with this girl or the next girl, you don't want to be outside like you say you do. You want to be a husband. That's just who you want to be. Met a woman, proposed to her in 3 months. They've been married for like damn near, 4 years, I want to say now, you know? Because when a man knows, he knows. And she didn't have to ask or beg or wonder. He put a ring on her finger in 3 months, and they've been together ever since. So a man knows way more than 6 fucking months. So, you know, choose your time accordingly. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to put the link to this full entire podcast episode in the description. Please follow this man. I fuck with this man heavy. People be having issues with, you know, oh my God, he's gay. How can he know? I don't care. Like, I don't care if you're gay, straight, whatever. If what you're saying to me makes sense, and for me being someone that has a good amount of wisdom, I know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense in certain spaces. And this guy makes sense. I think he's definitely leading women in the right way. I like how he focuses on femininity. He doesn't even focus on so much marriage. He focuses on you walking in your femininity and then getting what you need based off your femininity, your feminine energy. And I think Black women need to hear that. And it's not about 50-50. It's not about an expensive date. It's about you being in your femininity, knowing what feels good to you and attracting what feels good. At the end of the day, y'all, 1 hour and 30 minutes. Don't kill me. I'm gonna see you in the next episode.